This session is brought to you by Zurich Life and Investments. These guys are one of the last true independent life insurers going around, and they're Swiss, so you know their stuff is solid. These guys really understand and believe in the value of advice, which is why they invest in programs like this one and partner with groups like XY Advisor to help drive the positive evolution of financial advice in Australia. Their team are just really good people as well. So if you haven't already connected with them, to learn more, check out their website or speak to your business development contact. This session is also brought to you by Sun Super. They're one of the fastest growing profit for members or industry funds in Australia. They were the very first of these funds to partner with advisors, and they've got functionality where you can actually link to your client's Sun Super accounts and charge advice fees through the fund, as well as a number of tech innovations to make it easier for you to work with your clients. They've got great investments. They're really, really cheap. And their team are just generally legends. So if you haven't already connected with Sun Super, give them a shout because they're doing some really cool stuff.
Okay, so what was hilarious about this is we tried, 3 times to try and start the podcast with Adrian opening his beer.
Well, it worked the first time.
And then you followed it up with a bunch of curse words, shall we call them?
You know when you got a beer and it just it's a little bit tussled and it has a bit of a fizz on the top. You don't want it spilling on your shoes.
Very good point.
It didn't crack the way you wanted it to?
No. Oh, actually, it cracked really good. I reckon we can actually release that as part of maybe the close.
As a blooper.
Oh, I think we've recorded enough bloopers live on air, I think. Em, I think you could spend like a week at the end of the year maybe just pulling together a few of...
the best of...
Me, probably.
Adrian's
best of Paddy. It's gonna be probably about 15 seconds long. There's not too much best, mate.
Okay, the worst of Paddy.
So today, this week, over beers, it appears, we have Emily.
That's me.
Yeah.
Community manager
of XY.
Yeah, does a ripper job.
Yes. You're going to get flown around Australia this year, representing Team XY at the events. We're over in Perth. Is it in April or in Perth?
Yes,
April.
That's the big one. I'm really looking forward to it. We've got Sydney. What's the date on Sydney one?
22nd.
22nd of Feb.
Thursday.
No,
Feb.
22nd of
February.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep.
We're still locking down March in Brisbane.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. Perth, April.
Okay.
Yeah, Perth, like we started the year with a budget, but I think the flights to Perth will knock us out.
Yeah.
We'll be on the red eye or whatever the...
Yeah, the red eye.
So tell us a little bit about your background, Em.
I get access all the time because I tell people what I do and they're like, okay, and I always just start with saying it's a mixed bag. So let's just take it back a little bit. So I graduated school, went straight into uni because it was kind of like, if I don't go to uni, what am I going to do with my life? Mm-hmm. And ended up doing a business degree. So I majored in finance and economics and actually enjoyed it. And then after that, I spent 2 or 2.5 years working for a financial planning firm in Townsville. 'Cause I'm from North Queensland originally. Mm-hmm. Don't hold that against me. And then while I was doing that, I enjoyed it, loved what I was doing, but I just had the bug. Had the bug to go travelling, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. So I ended up heading off on a one-way ticket to South America.
Boom.
That's single, like, I didn't have to hear anything else you said when we
first met.
When she said that, I'm like... Yeah, I don't care how good she is at anything.
Because I've done the one-way ticket to South America as well. When were you there?
I left May 2014.
Wow, so
World Cup time.
Recent as well. I'm so jealous. I did it in like 2010. Ugh, yeah, so long ago.
It's generally a good, like anyone that's done that, there's a certain life perspective that they've got.
Totally. You bounce straight away.
And you haven't finished yet by any means.
No. I think the bug's I've contracted it, and it's like nothing's gonna cure that, I suppose. Like to travel and stuff, wherever you go.
Oh, it's pretty permanent. I don't know. Clay's. I think his is diminishing. He's lost it.
I'm trying to wind it down, having kids, but Well, getting married and doing that whole family thing. But
the next phase.
But anyway, so you go to South America, one-way ticket.
Yeah, one-way ticket, and backpacked through South and Central America for 7 months.
Boom.
And then went up to Canada, worked there. Probably one of the best 3 months of my whole time away was buying an old 40-year-old RV with 3 other friends.
Wow.
It's $3,000, so $750 each. Slept 6 people, kitchenette, the whole shebang.
Damn.
And we finished up a winter season in Canada. And then, spent 3 months cruising down the Midwest and then back up the West Coast. So Coachella, Grand Canyon, all the national parks. Like, it was crazy. It was definitely one of the best 3 months of my life. And then back up to Canada, did a bit more traveling around. I worked on a ranch in Montana for 6 weeks because the engine in our van blew up and we couldn't get back up to Canada. Yep. Shotguns.
So you stayed on this ranch?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
like herding cattle?
No. So I did a lot of mowing, but because it just come out of the winter. But met this couple at a pub. So quick story. On the first way down, like, we'd crossed into Montana and we had we stayed at a truck stop and we had to get to Yellowstone, and it was a long way. So I thought, okay, let's break up the trip. And I sort of found this little town. I was like, it looks like an old Wild Wild West town.
Whoa.
Let's stop there. We'll camp there for the night, check it out, and then head off to Yellowstone. We get into this little town and it's literally like one street. It's coming out of winter time and this is a summer town. So there's nothing open, nothing. It's dead. And so we've pulled our van up. It's about 12 degrees Celsius outside and we've been traveling all day. So we're in shorts and thongs, like we're Australian. That's all we know. And so we get out. We thought, we'll just do a little lap of the streets. Super cute and really old school, like, you know, the old saloon doors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we heard music coming from somewhere and we're like, where is that coming from? And the only thing open was the pub. And so you know that scene out of a movie where someone walks into this old school bar and he's not from around there and the music stops and the 4 locals and the bartender.
I hope it wasn't a Tarantino movie.
and the bartender, like, and they all look.
Music stops.
Music stops and we're like, hi. And there's six people and the guy. And so we're kind of like walking in our shorts and thongs. They're all in jeans and boots and stuff. Ordered 4 Budweisers and started playing a game of pool. And then about 2 or 3 minutes later, this couple in their early 50s swung around from the bar and they're like, well, y'all don't look like you're from around here. And we're like, nope. And then that just instigated this conversation. We were there for 2 or 3 hours and they just were fascinated by what we were doing. They're like, so you quit your jobs? Because, like, my partner at the time was a civil engineer. I had a finance degree, and they just couldn't believe that we would quit our jobs, up and leave, and go traveling for that long. And they're like, do you work? Like, what do you do? Like, they just couldn't believe it. And so, long story short, we ended up, they invited us back to their place for dinner, and we were like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't think anything of it, and ended up being great because they had 2 sons who were similar ages to us, so they were just relating it to that. And we ended up, and we had told them in conversation that the furnace in our van was broken, like the heating was broken, it was going to drop below 0 that night. Ooh. So we were just going to, like, just snuggle, like, blankets.
Puppy dog eyes.
Yeah, body heat, you know. And then and they said, look, we know we only just met y'all, but we don't want to be weird, but we've got 2 spare bedrooms, like, you're welcome to stay. And we were like, thank you. And so we ended up staying. And anyway, the guy was kind of semi-retired, but he managed a ranch for a dude that was in Florida, like, super, super wealthy. And he was showing us all these photos of, like, infrared cameras of massive bears and bull mooses and just all the stuff that went on there. And he sort of said, like, you know,
those bull mooses,
huge, massive, like
a car. Like,
you would not you wouldn't want to hit one with a car. Like, I know who's going to lose. It's the car.
What?
And he said, you know, if you guys are ever looking for work, like, you know, hit me up. And we kind of sort of fobbed it off because our plan was to get back up to Canada. And then on the way around, back up towards Canada, we kind of realised that we had about 6 weeks up our sleeve because we had work lined up on a farm in Canada as well. And anyway, we got to Portland in Oregon and we were supposed to get back up to Vancouver eventually and sell the van, and we had some interest on it. And we woke up this morning, we were going to go check out Columbia Gorge quickly and then head off to a friend's house. And 20 minutes into the drive and the van blew up. The engine blew. Oof. And we were like, rough. And so that was on a long weekend as well. And so anyway, we decided, well, okay, that's done. Let's switch up the plan. We're not going to Canada. So my partner and I hired a car and crammed everything we owned into it. Snowboards, camp gear, everything. Like the front seats could go like that, like a millimeter. And so we drove overnight. So I drove overnight to a truck stop where we had stayed originally on the first way down. Just slept for 5 hours like this and then got up and cruised on to the town, which was an hours away from where these guys lived. Had been in touch with them, but had no idea where we're going to live, no idea what we're going to do for work, no idea what we're going to get paid. We just went out on a limb and said, stuff it, let's just go.
Yeah.
And anyway, ended up being there for 5 or 6 weeks, and it was the best 5 or 6 weeks ever. We ended up getting put up in this townhouse, which had like, and we've just come out of living in a van, 26 feet of space with 6 people, to a bedroom with a corner spa bath in the ensuite.
Still.
Yeah, and we're going, oh my God, first of all, what are we going to pay for this? And he goes, you know, I didn't even really want to charge you anything, but, you know, if you guys just look after the place and like, let's just call it $200 between you for the whole time you're here. So $20 each a week to live in this townhouse. And we said, how did we manage this? And then ended up working for them, and they're like my Montana parents. I get a Christmas present, a birthday present every year.
Stop it.
Every year. Like I still I Skype them on Christmas. Like they're literally my other parents. It's crazy.
So
and that was from literally walking into a bar and meeting them, like this random couple that just sparked up conversation.
It's definitely the best part of traveling.
That
meeting.
100%. Like I kept a blog when I was away, and I've recorded a few little videos.
Is it still on the interwebs?
Oh, it's out there. It's kind of like paused at the moment.
Was it written on MySpace?
Oh, I'm a little past that.
Oh, okay.
It was but yeah, and I had so many stories like that, and whenever someone said what was your they'd ask you, or they asked me, where's your favorite place to travel to, what was your number one destination? And I think I went to about 16 countries, so it was really hard to pick one place. Jesus. So my thing was always, it was never the place, it was always the people. Like Absolutely. That was without a doubt the best thing about traveling, and that's what I would tell people. Like
exactly the same.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, and same with the people I worked for in Canada on their farm. Like that was incredible, and yeah, so it's just this massive, like, it's super cliche and whatever, but traveling like changed my life, like perspective and all that sort of stuff.
And then so you get back from that. Did you start in financial planning as a paraplanner after that all happened?
No, before.
Oh, okay. So you
this
do
was
your degree.
Pre that, yeah.
Do your degree.
Get into finance, yeah.
Start paraplanner, then drop it and go traveling.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's not that I didn't enjoy that work. I actually really, really liked it, but just I was at that point in my life where I'd been studying flat out. I didn't have a gap year. I was just itching to go, like, totally. And I just turning up to a desk every day from 9 to 5 was just killing me. And I was like, I don't want to wake up in 10 years' time and think, I wish I had gone and done it. Like, why didn't I go and do it?
The moment that your cubicle, so to speak, feels like a cage.
Yeah.
You know there's no coming back from that point.
And by no fault of, like, the people I was working for or anything. I could have been doing anything, but I just had this burning desire to go.
Yeah.
And so that's all I could focus on. And then, when I booked the ticket, I was like, holy shit, I'm actually going.
Yeah, that's a crazy moment, hey?
Yeah.
I actually call travel like career advice.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people that I've got clients have come in and they're going on about not really liking their job, and they're still quite young. They're sort of not really, don't have too many commitments or anything. I'm like, just
travel,
just go, spend it.
In fact, my greatest success as a financial planner, like emotionally, was when I was able to help a client go from I'm working and I'm stuck in this job, regardless of the size of the income, to now I'm living overseas. And that happened a handful of times.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was it's only for 2-3 years maybe. It might turn into 20. But even if they just do it for a short amount of time, it's like the greatest thing you can help someone achieve, I think.
It's 10 times more valuable than university, that's for sure.
Traveling, is the number one thing like that you could do, and it just reminded me of
she wouldn't have gotten the job if she hadn't travelled.
Well, you know what, like
for example,
she probably wouldn't have accepted the job if we hadn't have travelled ourselves.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be on the same page. Exactly. Right? But it
Yeah, it wasn't like a traditional interview. She's like, who are these guys?
Sat down for coffee, and then it was South America. Oh, South America!
we're good.
We all have to work together then.
It's done. It's sorted. That's hired. Job description. Tick. But it's funny. We talk about that. Like, this is a bit of a random story. I don't think I've told this one before. But you know what Toastmasters is? Like public speaking.
Yeah.
I used to go to Toastmasters. Loved it. Haven't been since. But I won a competition.
What?
And it was table topics. So table topics is like off the cuff. So you get up there and they tell you a topic there and then, and the timer goes, and you've got like 2 minutes to just speak.
Yeah, right.
And so I ended up doing this competition. I won it in our little group in Cairns, and then I had to go to this bigger regional one, and I was packing it. I was so scared. And there was 5 of us, and I knew some of the other speakers were like really good people. And I get up there and I'm like, oh my God. And then the topic goes, when all else fails, Emily Blanch, when all else fails. And then you have to speak. And I was just like, yes. When all else fails, pack a bag and go. And then I just boom, went on this rant of like, traveling is the best thing you'll ever do. I told the story about the van or whatever. And everyone's just like, oh my God. And I got off there and I was just so stoked that I didn't trip up. It all came out. And then I ended up winning. And then, 2 people come up to me after. They're like, that was amazing. Like, one lady was like 50 something and she goes, oh, I never traveled when I was your age, but I'm doing it now. And, better late than never. And yeah, it was, so many people came up and said stuff like that. It's
so
the number
cool.
one thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, I don't think... Because normally Toastmasters is for people who can't talk. I don't feel like that's an issue for you.
Well, no, for me it was
Well, this is
more
what
about...
happens after Toastmasters.
Yeah.
We're seeing
She graduated.
You
and
didn't
won
see me
an award.
before.
seeing the
You didn't
finished
see me
product.
before.
What, you were some timid mouse beforehand, were you?
No, but it's the technique of like... I talk fast. I'm probably talking fast now, actually, because when I get excited
They're actually
about
just slowing
things,
you down on the mic at the moment. That's...
I have a habit of like, I just need to get it all out. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, for those out there who are still listening and she's talking too fast, there's a slow down button on the Stitcher and the iTunes.
Half speed.
And then I'll talk like the octave will drop.
And then
like
for me and
2
Clay, you
times.
might just want to speed it up to double time. So you pass us.
Get back to Emily.
Oh, well, I don't think I would end up doing what I'm doing now with you guys if it wasn't for that, like, in some respect. Like,
Totally.
I'm going so, like, philosophical and cliche here, but, like, traveling taught me to, like, not waste any time doing stuff that doesn't get me excited. Like, and people freak out about change. Like, I have no problems up and moving or doing something completely left field. Like, even when I moved down here last year, so I was leaving Cairns January last year, and I spent 3 weeks, packed everything up that I owned in my little 3-cylinder car, and spent 3 weeks driving from Cairns down to here, and like camped along the way, caught up with friends. But people are like, oh, so you're moving, so you've got work lined up, you've got a job? I was like, no. What? You don't have a job? I'm like, no. I'm like, I just want to get down there, I'll sort it out.
Yeah.
And people are like, God, I could never do that.
Because your sister was living, is that
Yeah,
is that
she's
the
down
story?
here now.
Yes,
so she moved down first to study in Sydney.
Yep.
And I've got family, so I'm in Wollongong, by the way. So all my dad's family are there. So I've visited plenty of times before, but never lived there.
Dylan is just going, woo.
Woo!
Where gone?
Actually, I was just speaking to Dylan today about the event in February. Like, maybe we can carpool or something up there.
I thought you guys were going to go say, so we've organised the Wollongong XY advisor event.
We've moved the Sydney
We've shifted it from Sydney to Wollongong now, guys.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We'll come down. It's super nice down there. It might even be better than Coogee. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It's a
Scarborough Hotel, that whole through.
Yeah, right, got the beach and everything's super nice. But yeah, like, I don't think I would have ended up doing this stuff with you guys if it wasn't just from, like, chance this and doing different stuff and just, like, trying things. I don't know.
Well, I mean, ultimately, XY is just a hobby that got out of control. And, we definitely need people with enthusiasm, which you don't lack thereof at all. So, look, this is fun, and we've always said we will just continue to do it for as long as the events bring value, that the podcasts bring value, that everything is worth doing because it's fun and it's valuable. And the moment it stops being that, we'll just stop.
or just change it up and shift it up so that you're keeping it fresh.
Pivot. Maybe we should pivot.
Pivot.
We're like, we've had feedback. We love the idea of the podcast. Just the guys that are on it every week. Could you swap them up?
Just get rid of them. Just put Emily on every
that
week.
Emily chick, she's pretty cool.
XY advisor with Emily. Just as a weekly topic, and then occasionally we get to.
Where Emily's suddenly just doing the podcast, and we're organising the events.
Yeah, exactly. How did this even happen?
That would be the downfall of XY Advisor if we were organising the events again.
Yeah.
So, without Emily.
Oh, I'm sure I'd be there overseeing it. Like, oh.
So new logo, by the way.
Yeah.
I like it.
Do we get? Has anyone noticed?
No, we're not making a big deal about it, but it's...
We're being subtle. Like,
subtle, yeah. To be honest, we're probably just not sophisticated enough to do a collective launch and change all the platforms at the same time and make a big hoo-ha.
True.
Yeah.
Although, Emily could do that.
Oh, undoubtedly.
What are you doing next week?
A bit late.
no.
Yeah, we got a bit of a new logo. We've got a few things coming through.
Yeah, the online member portal, membership site. It's going to be up. Yeah, training thing.
Yeah.
It's nearly done.
I've actually been looking at the course content, so sneak peek for me.
Okay.
And it's looking really good. There's some really good stuff in there, and very different, like varied, like so not just
Awesome.
I don't know, like totally different categories. Like it'll appeal to all sorts of advisors in different spaces and at different times, and areas of expertise and stuff like that.
I wonder if you end up back in financial advice again because of this.
Well, it's like totally reignited my excitement
XY
for
Advisor has inspired me to come back into financial advice.
With an American accent?
Wait a sec. Where did that come from?
You're trying to imitate my Montana accent?
Jesus.
Oh my goodness. No, but I loved the vibe of this thing. Like that's why I even got on board. Like even as we call it
XY Advisor Marbo.
Well, I think this is what good for me. Like I look at it from a different perspective, I guess, to you guys. Like I'm always the outside person. Like like when we first sort of met and got into it, I kind of was like, what is this? And I was looking at the website and checking it all out. I'm like, man, this is so cool because it's everything that I enjoyed about the industry when I was doing it. But in saying that, when I was working in it, it was way more traditional, like an old school, right?
Sure.
So mixing that up with this new, like, fresh vibe and like, I don't know, millennial-esque kind of thing about it, that's what just captured me straight away.
And it's that brains trust. It's often that's what people call, when they're commenting on the Facebook group, it's the brains trust, right? It's because there are some old blokes on there and older females that love to give like very detailed, cool advice. So it's not just all
Well, the phrase that we've used is psychographic, Clay. It's a psychographic. It's not a
look, even if that's accurate, I just don't even like the word.
I've never heard that word.
Yeah, I know.
It's like people that think the same. So there's a whole lot of people. There's no.
I just feel like the word is not very XY.
Psychographic. I think we can come up with something better than that. That sounds lethal.
It sounds like some psychotic person drawing graphics. It's like,
we have had that actually. When you used to do the graphics, that could.
Stop it.
But I get the point of what you're trying to say is that, it's a wide variety of scope and backgrounds, but so everyone's bringing something different to the field, but in a roundabout way, but it's awesome. Like the vibe and everything. And you guys probably don't see it much, but I message people on Facebook and they message me and stuff, and or when emails and things go out, like people reply, like we get replies and they're like, man, love what you're doing. Like, so sometimes you don't realise. Remember when I emailed you that very first time about your blog?
Yes.
Because I was like, I know what it's like to write a blog and have no idea if anyone's even reading it.
Yeah.
Which is why, because like my thing is customer service or like client experience. Like that's what I'm about. So when I get amazing service, I want to tell them about it, because sometimes you think they're probably sitting there going, is anyone even reading this? Like, does anyone even give a shit? Like, and so when someone's like, hey, keep up the good work, they're like, oh, It kind of motivates them to keep going.
It
and
is
do
amazing,
more.
actually, when you get that kind of feedback. And your speciality, as you're saying, is that client and customer experience. Have we introduced you yet to Michael Back?
No.
Okay.
No, I've been waiting for this. So I remember
Well,
you told me
Becky.
about him ages ago, and I was like,
yeah.
this guy.
Yeah. So Michael Back.
Brisbane event.
Brisbane, yeah, Backy, if you're listening, make sure you're at the Brisbane event. But he's how do you describe this guy? Because he would even struggle to describe himself.
Last year's
as well.
described as the nicest guy in financial advice.
Who gave him that award?
I think I might have said it when I was interviewing on the podcast.
Okay, right. But he I know he works with a lot of financial advisors, a lot of really top quality financial advisors. And he focuses on that client experience, and he's done a lot of work with us. We've definitely got to connect you guys.
Yeah, totally.
The magic will just.
Well, I watched that podcast of his. You interviewed him. Yeah,
Yep.
that was before I was even like doing anything with the podcast, and I was like, whoa! I was like, that's totally I was just like, wow, resonating.
Yeah, that was an interesting one, wasn't it?
That was
Because that
cool.
would have
I liked
reminded
it.
you of your times in... Because we were going into the employee space.
And his story of like he was kind of stuck, working in corporate, and then he went traveling as well. And I'm like, and it wasn't until a bit later on, because I battled that for a while. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, what am I doing? What's my, And he did the sort of same thing, I think. And then and it's when he was on a flight back or something, and he was kind of came to him or whatever, I was like, man, that's totally like me, or in some kind of roundabout way, or it made me realize that, oh hey, you don't have to have it all figured out straight away, which is cool. But yeah, he was a legend.
It makes me feel good about having it like edge over into like the employee side of things as well.
What do you mean?
Well, it was a dual audience podcast. It was for
you're talking
employers
about
and employees.
When you were speaking with Michael on the podcast,
because his thing was about the client experience. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the employee experience. So the on
that's
the
right.
employer side and the employee side.
True. Yes, that's
So it
right.
was sort of
and that was really good as well. Just his ideas and things. I was like, man, it makes so much sense, but people don't think about it. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I can't wait to interview him again. I think he's a valuable person for the whole industry. He started out in something what's called the social advisor.
Yeah, I googled it straight after he mentioned it.
Yeah, and so the social advisor is I know Baz is doing something else, or is it still under the social advisor? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But Baz kicked off this company a few years back, and Mike was there from the very beginning, and they really changed very quickly. I feel they were a big catalyst in taking where advice had been into where advice could go.
Yeah, they changed the discussion.
Yeah, they definitely changed the discussion. So Mike's been a part of that conversation from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's been great to work alongside him and pick up his tips. I mean, you're just getting this massive plug today, Mike. You just be loving it.
What's your best band account number again?
Yeah.
But no,
Cash for
Brisbane
comments.
event. But no, Brisbane event for sure.
Oh,
Yes.
they're the best. Like last year, it was so much fun.
You loved it in Brisbane.
It was
didn't
so-
you can't shut up about
The one that you
Brisbane.
Facebook Live that I always hear about.
No,
Oh,
this
different
is
one.
No, yeah, I did actually. We were out at the bar after, and I thought it was a good
Oh,
idea
no,
to
you
share
did
it.
as well,
That's how much
didn't
I was
you?
enjoying it. I wanted to share it with the rest of Australia. It's it was good. Good people up in Brisbane, and they know how to have a couple of drinks and enjoy themselves. It's
Yeah, Brisbane's great.
it's and it's going to be good content as well.
Well, what have we decided?
Oh,
what
we're still locking
Brisbane-
down venue, date, location.
Well, there was conflict as to whether being so close to Easter, if people are not going to be around. So
Oh, this is Ben, isn't it? We can blame Ben for being too attention to detail like
Well,
that.
we were almost ready to go, and
you can look at
maybe
it
there's a
two
point.
ways. It was
Maybe
like,
there's a point.
sweet.
I'm gonna phone a friend in Brisbane and ask them if they actually care about public holidays or anything, or if it the day maybe it's a good thing the day before a public holiday.
Because then
So
people
they
have to
just
worry
blow
about work.
out and they have to worry about the next day. Because actually, for the Brisbane Knights, it's probably good that there's no work the next day.
That's kind of what I thought.
Year.
That's what I was like. Great, it's perfect. People don't have to go to work the next day. Genius.
Oh, right. So the day that we were looking at was the day before
Good Friday. So it was a Thursday night, and then Friday's Good Friday. Friday is Good Friday.
Okay.
But we're still.
So we're going to turn their if it is on that day, we'll turn their Good Friday into a bad Friday, probably.
A hungover Friday.
In true XY way.
It's hilarious that alcohol has actually, it's not that unique. Financial planning in general is normally accompanied by a beer. I feel that's pretty typical.
It's an Australian thing too.
Yeah, you combine the
100%.
two, combine
Totally.
finance, combine Australian. Yeah.
Like, it's just such an Australian thing to.
It's sort of the reason why I got into it, because I saw. I saw all the events that happened around December, and I was like, there was all these events, and like when you're young, you're like, well, they pay for all the drinks, and you're like, this is great.
Our first few years.
So, what inspired you to get into financial planning?
It's the free alcohol.
I must say, I was very proud of my last December. I declined a number of events.
Well done. I believe you skipped one, didn't you? He hasn't shut up about it as well. I didn't go to one event. Oh, congratulations, mate. You still went to another 10.
That was a bit more than that. But yeah, anyway. That was a real appeal. So maybe that's the way we could market the industry to new...
Well, interestingly enough,
And on that note, cheers.
Interestingly enough, we're trying to put together something. This is kind of like this year I'm getting married. Hopefully, try and start a family or whatever. Grow up. Basically, in my mid-30s, I'm trying to grow up, and so we're trying to put on an event, or not an event, but just like something to get together without drinking. And it's this big thing like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna hang out and not drink alcohol, right? So because with dudes, and I found maybe it's an Australian thing or maybe it's a guy thing. I don't quite know, but it's weird to hang out with mates and not drink. Like, unless it's breakfast after a big night, right?
Which can still include alcohol.
Bloody Marys.
But yeah,
they're great.
It's just kind of weird. Like, dudes don't typically get together, say, over brunch.
Maybe it's just the people you hang out with, Clay.
Well, potentially. So looking to do a thing, and so we're looking at things like there's digital golf in the city. So you hit
But there's a bar there.
How long do you reckon it's going to take?
Ray just told me today there's a bar there.
Is there?
There's a bar. Which is why it was such a great place for him to meet with this dude.
Oh, is he going?
Oh, yeah, that's where he's going today.
I didn't even know. That's a complete coincidence. Oh, okay.
Golf in the city.
God damn it. Yeah, so golf in the city is something.
Rock climbing.
Rock climbing's another one, right? We're thinking about
That would be cool.
We're thinking about these
rock climbing's good.
events
That's fun.
or things that we can do that don't involve drinking.
They almost have to be adventure activities.
Activities.
Yeah.
Which is like weird, right?
XY advisor
Yeah.
rock climbing? Yeah.
I'd be down.
Yeah.
I've been before. It's good. It's fun.
Is it?
It's so fun. It's really good.
I feel like just drinking a beer is easier.
It is. I wonder, we could do an experiment and just go like, well, one XY advisor event without alcohol and just see how that goes down.
Maybe we put a poll out and people can shout ideas of what.
Yeah, they're going to be like, if any of the guys from XY are there and there's not alcohol, I'm not coming. No.
It's a given now. We've set the standard.
Well, we just won't be able to listen to the rant.
Yeah.
Is that Adrian bloke going to be there? I'm out.
I gotta drink through his comments. That's it.
So plenty coming up.
Yeah, plenty of alcohol.
Plenty of so the education, the events, the podcast, obviously. We're looking to get some quote unquote big names onto the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if anyone's like knows people that are like big or have like a bit of a name, maybe email Emily. Just hi.
Totally. Well, I'm brainstorming.
I
I'll
know
spend a bit of time.
old Malcolm Turnbull. He may be interested in the XY advisor.
Malcolm in the Parliament, you're definitely welcome to join us.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, Malcolm Turnbull. Scott Pape, the Barefoot Investor.
Ooh, that would be good.
Is that his real name?
Is that... Sorry, have I got
I've
it?
never heard his real name.
Have I,
I literally had to
Yeah,
Google
I
it.
think
no,
so.
Scott Pape. Sure. Yeah.
No, he's changed his name to the Barefoot Investor.
Oh, so that's his legal name now. I reckon he'd be great because he's obviously nailed that direct-to-consumer
Totally.
angle, which would be great. Who else?
What about wait, who's the treasurer now? Not Scott Morrison. The treasurer.
Do you know? I don't even know.
What's his name again?
That's appalling, isn't it?
South African dude. He
Is
could be
it?
fun. That'd be.
Joe Hockey was the last one that I
That'd
knew
just be
of.
fun having Joe Hockey on.
Okay,
Maybe.
Joe Hockey, you can
Actually,
come
because
on.
he's not
Summoned.
in Parliament anymore, so I think, or at least on the backbench, they don't do much there. So
Get him in. Who else? What do you
Emma,
reckon, Em?
who would you like to hear on X5 then?
I don't know. I don't know why, but you know Carl off that morning show?
Carl
He's quite
Stefanovic?
funny. Yeah,
I
we
thought-
should get him.
Definitely
I wouldn't.
no.
He'd be
Wouldn't be
funny.
horrible. Like, I think if we take we were talking to Glenn James before. Like, he's taken people from like completely different, like out of the finance world, and he's translating that to like financial planning and like people's money and how they.
Well, we've already discussed this, right? So Em's
That's
all
what I was
over it.
saying.
Yeah.
I suggested, because we were talking about when you said the Barefoot Investor, I was like, okay, because we're thinking of trying to get a bit of a list of who to or get in touch with, or who we would like to come on the podcast and stuff. And then, because ultimately you want to sort of relate it back to finance in some description. But yeah, I started thinking of finding people who are doing other like cool shit in Australia, not necessarily in this space, but how we can relate it back. So, just sort of started
Like
Googling.
Redfoo, like
Redfoo. Isn't
You mean the dude, like the singer with the gold
LMFAO?
and the
that
lycra?
guy. And he does, he comes in his like little.
His lycra?
Yeah.
So much lycra.
Oh, actually, no, we all got to wear lycra into it. That's it.
You just want an excuse to wear lycra.
And we play the song and we got
It
to.
took 2 seconds to... Mate, you wear lycra. YouTube's going to love you.
What about sporting legends like?
Shane Warne.
Oh yes,
Warney. Okay, Warney, you're in.
that would be
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
You're approved. You can come on.
Yeah.
Approved.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sucks.
Don't know.
Just email Emily, everyone out there. Any ideas? We're not
Yeah.
afraid to pick up the phone and just see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be cool to get some, really out left field people.
Well, eventually, yeah. I mean, at the rate that we're going to get through, all the financial planners that we know, within a certain amount of time, right? So we're definitely going to start extending beyond the natural, circles of influence, so to speak.
Yeah, but what Glenn was saying about, people bringing them in and then sort of translating
I
it
like
back.
that idea. Like taking
It's
their
cool.
stories
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
hey, this is what it relates to financial advice.
Paddy, I'm interested, mate. You've got this business on the build with Sean Green. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been on the boil for a while, and it's based on, I guess, a lot of the changes that have gone on in advice and accounting, and you've got the whole accounting industry, which has traditionally been able to deal with clients around a broad range of topics and things like superannuation, and the recent changes that advice has caught up in has also caught up accountants, where they can't talk to clients about stuff that they used to talk to, like superannuation, self-managed super funds, unless they're licensed. So there's a big gap in the market, and we're looking to close it by bringing together advisors and accountants and giving them a great advice proposition to run with that can just sort of deliver value, because there's a shitload of people that just aren't getting financial advice that have professionals, but because the professionals haven't been able to find other professionals that they trust, there's this blockage. There's sort of like they might come across people, but the client has to go and find out how to deal with a mortgage broker or an advisor themselves, and that other professional will just say, well, I can't deal with you, and it stops there.
It's a barrier.
Yeah, so you got this client experience that's going really nice. They may be providing a great experience, but it's not able to go to that next destination because they don't have a trusted destination. So we're looking to bring advisors into accounting firms and give clients a great experience, give accountants a great experience, help them share in the value of financial advice, and see where it goes.
So you're connecting the dots between accounting and financial advice.
Yeah, and also the dots within financial advice, because guys, what I'm mucking around with to get that humming is like a lot of, we talk to accountants and they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to get licensed and stuff and like get advice happening in my business. I'm like, advisors can't even get advice happening in their business. Like, it's let alone coming from a different different environment. Like,
I get what you mean. So compliance issues and whatnot.
Yeah, like, and just the overall thing. Like, there's a lot of moving parts in advice, and it's no longer, especially when you look at the one-man band setup, it's too big for one person these days. So like, what Glenn's doing, it's awesome what he's got going. Like, for example, what we were talking before, but it's a lot of, like, if you look at one-man bands and like how I've been the last few years, there's always a trade-off. And the trade-off means that you're never getting to that optimal setup for clients, that optimal setup for your business, and how you can grow and get financially rewarded for all the time you put into things. And yeah, it's harder than it needs to be if you don't have a team around you, and that's usually a scale thing, and the ability to sort of spend time on technology. So I used to spend lots of time on technology and just sacrifice actually making any money in my business, and now I got the opportunity to sort of channel it into a more scaled proposition. And over time it might be available to other advisors, but we'll see how we go.
So the idea is, so you and Sean, you've got this business. What's it called?
Spark Partners is the brand for accountants, and Spark Advice is the advice business.
Okay. But just to be clear, they're not the same business.
No, because I guess the Spark Partners is a brand and engagement piece, which we've been working on for the last 6+ months, engaging with the accounting community.
Yes.
And Spark Advice is the client-facing brand where advice is delivered under the license.
So Spark Partners goes into accountants and says, let's give advice to your clients, and then you put in an advisor in the practice. Is that essentially how it works? Yeah,
it's a hybrid model. We've got two options where there's the simple referral model, and that's probably a bit of a toe in the water option. And then you've got and then there's also like the full employed model, where you've got a large accounting practice where you go into a JV and you drop the the advisor into that practice.
Yep.
And give them all the support. But what we're rolling with, which is a bit in between, is a contract model for self-employed advisors. So with what I was saying before in terms of the challenges of being a self-employed advisor and running the shop and doing everything well, there's a lot of advisors out there that are fucking awesome, but just don't have the right infrastructure to really execute and deliver all the goodness that they can to prospective clients. Whether it's they're awesome at executing, but they spend too much time on it because they don't have the right support, or they're awesome on the front end, but they struggle with, and it's a bit of both with everyone, and be able to close all the gaps for them and just let them see clients, deliver awesome value to them, form great relationships, form relationships with the accountant, and everything just humming.
So then Spark Partners' business plan is to get accountants and advisors, whether employed or self-employed, and put them together, and then handle the back office SOA generation, meeting preparation. Is that the idea?
Yeah, all that, but it's a bit more than that, because it's also the engagement piece. So it's like, it's not about, so we're going, well, here's your fee schedule, it's flexible, here's what we do, we can cover all these bases, this is the service proposition that comes with that if a client fits that mold,
right? This
is what happens after it. There's no thinking that needs to be applied to the service delivery,
right?
And it's bloody good.
You would hope so.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'll bloody spend enough time on it. That's right. Yeah. So.
Awesome, man. Well, it sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's something new,
something different. Yeah, I'm surprised that no one's actually attempted at scale, at least, because that's what you're aiming for, to marry up advice and accounting.
Well, they have done it. I guess the difference
At
is
scale.
Yeah, it's been done. Like GPS Wealth just sold for like 20 million. A lot of people have done the matchmaking piece, and that's something that can be done. But we're sort of going a bit below that and going, what are the pain points of delivering advice and making sure like you develop a good advice practice. So we're actually running the advice practice as well.
Right.
Because
well, if you don't, then you can sell the business for 20 mil. So why would you?
Well, arguably there's more value generated by actually having a system that works, that actually executes.
I'll tell you what, I'll invest if you don't have to do any executing.
We've got a good group of people that do stuff around. And we got Sean.
We'll just constantly rest on Sean. Awesome. I'm toiling away on my project as well, so hopefully sooner or later. I think I'm getting pretty close. Might even be soft launching next week.
So we can talk about it? Or?
Maybe. Eventually.
Watch this space.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting times. Yeah. Anyway, well,
I think 2018 is going to be a good year.
Yes, we've definitely bitten off a lot. The sheer load of events makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, we've got a bit of chewing to get through. Just jump on what we've taken in.
But I think it's going to be a pretty good year.
Oh yeah, we got Emily. She'll take care of it all.
Community manager / CEO.
I remember when I did the first event last year.
Yeah.
So here's the list. So just go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for it. And I'm like, okay.
Fish to water.
Yeah.
All we needed was the list. I was like, I knew that list would come in handy. We didn't follow it very well, but you've done a great job.
You could foresee that it was going to come in handy for me.
Correct.
Yeah. We're just not very good list followers.
All right.
Plenty
Well,
of time for that.
I think podcast is up.
Thanks for being on it.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to.
Stories.
around
Hope we've
whenever.
inspired a few people to go travelling.
Yeah.
Sorry to the employers out there
Yeah.
who've got people just downing tools and walking out tomorrow. It's all right. It'll be for the better. They'll come back.
Exactly.
They'll come back fresh.
Inspired.
Yeah.
New ideas.
Yes.
All the cliches.
Yeah. Every cliche. Everyone. Perfect.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Cheers.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.